sitting between these two lovely Polish astrologers who are going to tell you a little bit about the work that they do. My name is Andrew Morton. I'm a UK astrologer. We're actually sitting at the AA conference, and these two ladies have both just recently this morning given talks, one on the 8th house and one on the 12th house, which is kind of appropriate to perhaps their personalities and actually their own charts, but I'm not going to say anything about this. I'm going to allow these two to introduce themselves to you. And on my left we have
Miłosława Krogulska. And on this badge we have 2 question marks because nobody knows how to pronunciate my name properly. No. So official version is Miłosława, short version is Miłka or Mija or me sometimes. But it fits perfectly to my chart because I have Neptune in 1st house, so I'm a very mysterious woman.
Yes, but then if I had a lot of Leo in my chart, or you had a lot of Leo in your chart, you're Leo sun, you just call yourself me, wouldn't you? That would be very appropriate. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Or you, me.
Me, or and we.
Two Geminis. I'm a poor Scorpio here.
Yes, a poor Scorpio. I've never known a poor Scorpio.
My name is Izabela and Podlaska-Konkel. I'm from Warsaw in Poland. And I'm a professional astrologer and teaching astrology too. We run with Miłka in Warsaw Astrological School, and we run together Polish Astrological Association, and we try to get astrology to the people every day.
So what the school that you run, that you form together, how would you generalize the type of astrology that you're teaching and practicing and encouraging?
We combine the classical and humanistic astrology together. We have our program, and we don't follow, one school.
Yeah.
We wrote a manual, and we have our own program.
But how would you actually describe or define, what did you say, humanistic astrology? What would you say
it's
that was?
It's more humanistic, but
Explain
with classical twist, Because classical astrology, sometimes it's very boring. And if you want to really properly read your chart, you have to learn some humanistic astrology too.
What would you define humanistic astrology as being for the viewers?
It's more about personality, psychology, and relationships. I think more wider view than so only you get married at this point or you get sick at this point. Sometimes it's useless. You have to read chart as a process of and you have to offer. We think we have to offer people advice, not to sentences.
Right. So would you say humanistic is sort of from the way you're coming at it, is more of a broad-based modern astrology, let's say, contemporary astrology?
I would say, that humanistic means that in the center of your interest is human, and it's your client, and you should help him, because astrologer is a person who offers help to other people, and humanistic mean that you see at these client people and yourself from many point of view. One is material level, of course, because astrologer help with business, with money, with all this everyday stuff. But another level is more spiritual, when you are part of the universe, when you are part of environment and you share your emotion with other people. So sometimes, horoscopes show you what happened of this material level, and this is more about classical astrology. You will find your husband in this year, you will lose your job this year. This is classical. This is very very important information. But humanistic astrology helps you to look at human, look at person from another
point. But it's mostly we use modern planets, Uranus, Pluto, Neptune.
Would you say there was an inspiration that you had to come to this?
Yes. Because I think that we should mix all those type of astrology, and if astrologer is stuck in only one branch, it's very pity because he cannot develop
So are you actually then teaching a very broad base of techniques to?
Yes, but we
based
are
on natal horoscopes.
Yes.
But I'm more interested in relations, synastry and relationship charts, and I do it a lot with my clients. But I also very passionate about horary and electional astrology, and I'm doing some courses too with students, and that's the other side of astrology that could help.
Because
help
one could say that the culture that you come from, the area of the world, more towards the east of Europe, is a very traditional, very Saturnian type of astrology. Is that?
No, in Russia is more spiritual, more very. They broke all the rules, and they have their own astrology because it was this wall between the west and the east. And in Poland we had few books, but we had ones. But in Russia they were forced to invent astrology.
I remember it was 25 years ago when we have one book and people share this book. It was kind of treasure for us. So we meet in group, we calculate chart, we interpret, and we work together as a group, and it was really big spiritual work. So for us it was something so big, that people felt that they are really kind of chosen one, that you can learn this knowledge.
I remember when we get to the Barry shop,
but oh my God, it was
we spent 500 pounds on books.
And more important is what astrologer is the knowledge. Yes, the tools that astrologer use, because Polish people are very practical, and they don't believe in diplomas. They believe, it real work. And
let's say the real astrology or the professional astrology that we're teaching and that you're bringing to people, what kinds of techniques do you particularly favor or employ or teach or use yourself? I mean, for myself, I'm obviously work with natal charts. It's people. I mean, that's why I was interested in what you were calling humanistic, because actually I just think to myself, oh well, if it's astrology, it must be about people. But of course, there are other branches that are not to do with people. So I'm using the conventional techniques. I'm very into transits. I'm not so keen on secondary progressions. I like things that come from the sky, that you can actually say specifically derived from the sky. The moment in time of birth, in a place, and transit. They're real things. The sky is doing that. And beyond that, I'm very much into harmonics. Which not really so much in the technical sense, but adding those aspects into the conventional Ptolemaic and extending it, because it can be so revealing, because it's actually what I call is beyond the naked eye. It's what the eye doesn't see, because the astrology we've got is all to do with what can be seen, what can be seen there, what can be measured there. Well, as soon as you get into these other divisions of a circle, or planets that you don't see, there is a whole other dimensions open up, both with aspects and with bodies, and we don't really make that differentiation, or we don't even make the proper integration, recognizing that there is a difference in terms of what we've inherited and what else and how we deal with it. So, what do you ladies do? What's your?
I do natal astrology, of course, and I use transits and progressions very often, because first I look at natal chart, then at progressions, because they move slower, so you could find some interesting.
So you actually like secondary progressions?
Yes, and then I do transits.
What do you feel that they give one?
They give you They give you the idea how natal chart is changing in future, because people we have chart, we have some personality, but from some point of view and at some point we want something more, or we widen our personality. We catch other ideas, and it describes planet moving to another sign.
So if you're using secondary progressions, because you're just doing one day at a time, say one
Yes,
day for a
yes,
year.
that's
It's
the
very easy for people to see, oh, well, actually, this moment in time of your birth, everything didn't stop.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the
Yes,
world didn't
yes,
stop.
yes,
You know,
yes.
this is
It's
just.
it's helping.
You know, I always view it as like this is a
Mm-hmm.
natal chart, but it's like one of those photo competitions
Mm-hmm.
where people are like,
Like
and
this.
the question is, what happens next? You know what I mean? So actually, a secondary progression, a
It's a
secondary
process.
gesture can
It's a
actually
process.
But you
show
could-
that it's just this
but
very
you
slow how
yes,
these bodies actually were
development.
continuing
Yes,
to
yes,
move. They
yes.
didn't all stop just because you were born.
Yes, yes, yes.
So that's one
And
of your
it stick
favorites.
to the heavens, you know, movements, because the directions,
Yeah.
one degree for 1 year,
Solar
it doesn't work
directions.
for me.
No, I can't get that.
But you know,
Some people. Yeah.
and I look at transit, of course, at transits, and I do some horary elections and solar return. I started to do lunar returns too,
Mhm.
but it's very personal. I think but it helps to.
I think you have to know the person. I don't think you can just arbitrarily do them with a stranger. Lunar
Yes,
returns.
but lunar returns helps you to
I think
catch
they're
the
really-
point in the year, yeah, because if you have in lunar return planets on the axis, it's more important this part of the year
Yeah,
than
yeah.
the others,
Yeah.
and with new moon and full moon, etc. But I do a horary too and elections because.
And when you do
it's
horary, are you using the outer planets, or are you doing
No.
this in a more traditional
in
way?
more traditional, but
So it's up to
I
Saturn.
don't throw out Uranus, Plutus, Neptune because in horary those planets shows the atmosphere, you
Yeah.
know, or some events, but not decide about the
Some
subject.
perhaps some unseen factors which
Yes,
you may not be
yes,
aware that
yes,
may be
yes.
influencing.
So I don't neglect them. They more far powerful, those planets. But in horary they don't give you the answer, the final answer.
Right. And what about you, Me?
Oh, I do natal astrology, of course, transits. This is very important technique, secondary
Yeah.
progressions. But I less horary astrology. It's not my branch, maybe yet. It's not yet my branch. But I'm more into family astrology, as I said. So this is comparative astrology. Astrology as a tool of helping kids, you know, to grow up properly, to be good in school. So I'm very, you know, familiar person, and I help people to resolve everything problem with chart. And my passion is astrocartography.
Oh,
I
nice.
love it really because, you know, I'm Gemini. I love to travel and and opportunity to look at the chart as a map, you know, of
Yes.
places. This is something, you know,
Yeah.
amazing for me. And my first impression from about astrocartography was that sometimes you don't need to travel because people from those places, they came into your life, change you, and they have something, you know, to do with you. So I work with this. I have client for astrocartography, and I think there is many things to discover in this.
It's similar but different. But what's your view on relocating charts then to different places?
I think they work immediately.
Yes.
Immediately, you know, sometimes, you know, because I live near Okęcie airport in Warsaw, and in Warsaw, in my chart, I have Mars in Pisces on Icy. So, in-house, I'm a very nervous person. I have problem with appointments. Please never ask me to book room in hotel, because you end in disaster.
Mm-hmm.
Have you discovered this?
Yes,
Yes.
I also
She's
this
the
time
person,
she
you know, to
booked
book.
the place, and we received not twin, but
double.
double, but with a small
Small.
bed for a child, and she
It was my
She's
bed,
on the
of
bed.
course.
That's the punishment, is it?
Instead of
That's the
punishment.
Scorpio punishment. You're on the small
Yeah,
bed.
but here, you know, so when I travel, I discovered that life could be easier, you know, because in England my chart changed. But talking about clients and about astrology, it can help you, you know, change your life, find better place, live, you know, in better environments. And I think that these days, when people travel a lot, when we have so many opportunities, this astrocartography opens a completely, you know, new perspective for us. Yes, and I love it really
so-
because it works.
Yes. And just very quickly, if I recall, Izabela, you're very into synastry, aren't you?
Yes.
But that therefore implies relationships. Is
Yes.
that where the electional sometimes comes in?
Yes, for wedding,
Yes.
for the chart.
And is that a reason to learn that as an additional technique then?
Could be in elections. Election helps you in business, but in relationships too. Yeah. But I mostly do comparisons and compact charts. You know.
Ah, yes. So what do you
Yes.
feel about combined?
Combined, yeah, it works. Yeah.
Yeah.
For me. Yeah.
And which particular, do you have a preference on
So Davidson
to use
drive,
that
yeah, ascendant. Yeah.
as opposed to just the midpoints of everything?
They are similar. They
Yeah.
differ only one or the.
Okay. But these are all the little individual preferences one can have, because there's so much to all of these
Yes.
techniques, are they not? But it looks like you're covering a full range of both what one could say traditional and modern techniques.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so very much, and thank you so very much, Circle of Divine Astrologers, for tuning in and listening to us today.